we're still stuck in in the place where Rene Descartes left us hundreds of years ago, where he suggested that the mind and the brain were separate, that the mind was a little man doing the thinking inside the brain. And we know that's not true now. We know that the mind is the activity of the brain. But what that does for mental illness is it makes it very hard for us to not blame people with mental illness for their disorders. The idea is that they could somehow take control of their psychosis or take control of their depression and just get up off the couch, and that there's a weakness of character that prevents them from doing that. And I think that what we try to do with Cure Alliance for Mental Illness, and then by extension Brain Week Rhode Island, is to show people that we know a lot more about the brain than we did before and how it underlies our thoughts and emotions.
Yeah. So one thing we're really trying to make people understand is that mental illness has a biological basis. We go to high schools and preschools and middle schools, and we bring preserved human brains to the students, and the first thing we ask them is, well, what does this do? What does the brain do? And they go through all the senses and all the obvious and the memory, and then I ask them, well, what about your personality? What about the decisions you make? What about your preferences? Do you like this color, or do you think it's ugly? Do you like the smell, or do you think it doesn't smell nice? And the students are always sort of taken aback by, oh, well, maybe my personality does lie in this structure called the brain. And I ask them, if you had a heart problem, you could get a heart transplant, but you can't really get a brain transplant. But for the sake of argument, let's say you could, and this was sci-fi. I always ask them, if you were to get a brain transplant, are you getting a new brain, or is this other person getting a new body? And they always go, whoa, that's deep. And I think they really start to understand that really, everything we are, all of our experiences reside in our brain, and by consequence then, when something is wrong with your brain, when you have a mental illness, when you seem confused or you're having psychosis, all of that resides biologically and physiologically in your brain.